And out. I am Jill. Thank you so much for joining me today's live for our Phoenix Renewal Hour. Today is Wednesday, August 19th, 2026, and we are titled today, You Are Capable of So Much More. So, welcome in. I'm really excited to get this started tonight. So, we're just actually going to jump in, because tonight's not our usual format. Tonight is pure self development, no astrology tonight, just the science of thinking bigger and why most women are running on a ceiling that they built for themselves without actually even realizing they've done it. Good morning. Hi, welcome in. So, stay for the full hour. This is going to change how you see yourself. And if you are new, welcome. Make sure you are following so that you can get these alerts every time I go live Monday through Friday at 5:30 p.m. If you're on YouTube, make sure you're subscribing and hitting the bell so you get alerted. And also, if you're on YouTube, make sure you are tapping at that screen, liking that live, sending it out to your friends. Share, like the whole thing, because this is a big self-development course today. Of course, I'm always here bringing free education every weeknight for 1 hour every night so you can do better for yourself and grow. So that's what we're doing today. So welcome in, welcome in. And just a quick note for everybody who's new here. My name is Jill. I come on here live every weekday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. I come in and I teach practical self-development and self-improvement techniques for women in a growth period of their life. So tonight there's no astrology, just the science and the tools and why you are capable of more than you're currently allowing yourself to have, and exactly how you can change that. So let's go. Bring everybody in the room as fast as you can. Make sure you are tapping the screen, sharing it out. Make sure you share this out. I'm sure there's plenty of women who want to hear this message, hear these tools. Let's get going. So, good Wednesday, everyone, and welcome. And I want to start tonight with something that I've been thinking about for weeks. Something I see in almost every woman in a growth period, including myself, that I think is the single most under-named obstacle to having the life that you actually want, right? It's not a lack of effort. The women I talk to in my community, they're not lazy people. They work really hard. They work really hard. They show up, they do the inner work, right? It's not a lack of intelligence. It's not a lack of talent. It's not even a lack of desire, okay? It is a ceiling, an invisible ceiling that most women don't know that they've actually built, right? And the thing that makes it especially tricky um, is that it wasn't even built because they had so many failures. It was built from success. Hi, Downs. The ceiling we women built for ourselves, we did not build out of failure. We built it from success. So let's get into that. What does that mean, right? So think about a time in your life when things were going genuinely well. A string of good days, maybe a meaningful win, something clicked into place. And then out of nowhere, something went wrong, right? Some kind of conflict appeared, an obstacle surfaced. Maybe you got sick or overwhelmed, or suddenly, inexplicably self destructive, right? About the very thing you've been working on, right? Um, and the story you told yourself was probably some version of, well, this always happens. I always do that. Hi, Hassan. And I get so close, but then I ruin it, right? But what if that story was wrong? What if what actually was happening wasn't self sabotage, but something much more specific and much more fixable? I like fixable. How about you? You guys like fixable? I don't want to self sabotage. I want to think big and grow big, right? Let's do it. Let's make it happen, right? So tonight, tonight I'm going to explain exactly what's happening when this pattern occurs. And I'm going to give you 3 tools backed by research to interrupt it. Okay, by the end of this hour, you will understand your own ceiling in a way you probably never have. And you're going to know how to raise it. Hi, welcome in. Hello. So nice to see everybody. All right. So, welcome in. If you're new here, make sure you are liking and sharing this out. We've got big lessons for women in this room tonight. So, make sure you're sharing this out to a woman in your life who needs to think bigger and give herself permission to do it and to stop creating her own ceiling. So, bring her in quickly before the lesson's over, right? Come on in and bring your friends. Make sure you are liking this as well. So, here we go. There is this doctor, a psychologist. Their name is Dr. Gay Hendricks, okay, who spent decades working with high achieving people, okay, executives, athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, right, who kept these people that the doctor is working with kept experiencing the same mystifying pattern, right? Hi, welcome. They would reach new level of success, a new level of happiness. Maybe they found love all of a sudden, right? And within days, maybe even weeks, something would happen to bring things kind of back down to the familiar lower level, right? He called this the upper limit problem. And his core thesis is this one: every person has an internal thermostat for how much good they're allowed to have. Each person has their own internal thermostat, and they have decided how much good they can have in their life. What? What? Is this new information to you? That's crazy, right? That's what we want to think, but it's true. The research backs it up. It's crazy. Okay, so what are we doing here? Why are we doing this? It determines how much success you can have, how much happiness you can have, how much love you're going to allow in your life, right? Yeah. And that thermostat is set usually in childhood, right? With these beliefs that we get fed, right? It's usually an unconscious thing that's happening, okay, based on what felt safe, permitted, and appropriate in the environment that we grew up in, okay? When life expands beyond that thermostat setting, the unconscious mind, which is running the show in the background, right? About 80% of the time. 80% of the time, your unconscious mind is running your life, okay? And this unconscious mind sends a signal to bring things back down to the familiar level that's comfortable, okay? That signal is what self sabotage looks like, okay? The argument after a breakthrough, right? That's one example. An illness after the win, the procrastination on the project that would actually change things in your life. Okay, the minimizing of your own results the moment they start to look significant. Why? Why? Why do we do this to ourselves? This is not weakness, okay? That's your thermostat doing what it's built to do. It's trying to keep you safe, okay? It wants to maintain its safety levels, okay? Um, that's our unconscious mind. It works so hard to protect us, okay? It doesn't have any feelings. It's just protection. It is what it is. It's our survival mind, right? So Hendricks identified 4 specific beliefs that create that upper limit ceiling. Okay. And I'm going to go through all 4 because one of them, probably one specifically, is going to land for you tonight. So we're going to go over all 4 because I don't know which one's going to land for you. All right. So the upper limit belief number 1. Okay. And I think this one is probably something that a lot of us run into. I know that I've felt this at a time or two in my life. It's not a constant thought I have, but I've had this one. It's that I am fundamentally flawed, right? This is the belief that there's something wrong with me at my core, right? Something is broken, damaged, or undeserving, right? This belief says people like me don't get to have it this well. If things go well, I must be missing something. The other shoe is about to drop. This often sounds like humility, but the function of it is a ceiling. Okay, so that's the first one, and it's a pretty big one. Have you felt that way in your life and then stopped progressing on something because you just immediately counted yourself out? Right? Well, good things like that just don't happen to a person like me, right? Something's wrong with me on the inside. I don't deserve it. It's a big one, and it's not a good feeling. For sure, it's not a good feeling. Okay, so the upper limit belief number 2, expanding would be disloyal. This belief says if I become more successful, more visible, more myself, I will leave people behind. Hmm. I will make my family uncomfortable. I will betray where I came from. Women who grew up in environments where standing out was dangerous or not modeled to carry this belief quietly. It shows up as dimming your own light in rooms where it might outshine somebody you love. Have you ever done that? Where you stepped down and back so somebody else could shine, but you do it like way too much, maybe? Because that is okay once in a while, right? But all the time is not healthy. You deserve to shine too, right? Upper limit belief number 3. What is this thing in my screen? I can't see you. Sorry, I couldn't see you. Something popped up on my screen. Number 3 is more success means more burden. This belief calculates that expansion comes at a cost. More responsibility, more expectations on you. Welcome in. Less freedom, less time. So the unconscious mind decides, I'll stay at this level, right? Because at least here, I know what the demands are, hmm right? This is the belief that keeps brilliant women in jobs that are too small for them, and in relationships that are too limited for them, or in lives that are just too quiet for them. That's an interesting one, too. And then there's the last one, upper limiting belief number 4. is my expansion harms others. This is the belief of scarcity, that if I win, that means somebody else loses, that my visibility takes up space that could belong to somebody else, that my success somehow diminishes the people around me. This belief keeps women invisible for decades because of this unconscious, like, morale framework that says shrinking yourself is a generous thing to do. It's not. It's not a generous thing to do. You're just shrinking yourself. Okay? It's something that's a hard lesson for a lot of us that have been doing these type of behaviors. Okay? So now, the important thing to understand about all four of these beliefs is that none of them are facts. They are just stories. Stories that were built from real experiences in real environments, but nonetheless, they're just stories, right? Stories can be rewritten, can't they? Right? So the first step is to identify which belief is most active in you, and then don't judge it, and don't even fight it. Like, just name it, identify it, because you cannot work with something you cannot see. So the first step is just to identify this belief. Okay, so I want to give you a moment to sit with that question. Which of those four resonated with you? The fundamental flaw belief, the belief that you would be disloyal to your friends, family, where you came from, the burden belief that if you grow, the burden would be too much to bear, the scarcity belief that if you grow and expand, that you're taking up somebody else's space, right? One of those, four of those um, resonate with you and how you feel and what might be causing you to self-sabotage your own success, right? For me, let's be honest, okay, it's a fundamental flaw belief that has been active, very much active for me in this season of my building, right? I'm building a new life for myself right now by using these lives to do self-development for myself and for you, right? And I'm building a business out of this, okay? But the part of me that looks at those 99 new followers in a week and immediately starts looking for a problem, that looks at four consecutive 90 or top percentile lives, um, and I sit there and I'm kind of like waiting for the catch, right? That voice that says, who are you to think that this is going to work out? Right? Good evening. Hi, Joseph. That voice is my upper limit thermostat. It's not the truth, it's the thermostat. You can tell my future, can you? Hi, Diaz. Welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. So, here is where this type of work, oh, thank you, Joseph. Um, Here's where this type of work becomes practical. Hi. Identifying the upper limiting belief, that's just step one, right? Working through it, actually excavating from within yourself where this belief came from, what experience you had in your life that built that belief, what evidence contradicts it also, right? That's the deeper practice, those deep questions. So my journey to myself with 400 prompts specifically designed for this exact type of inner work. Okay, it takes you through all the questions that help you find the stories underneath your patterns. So, if tonight's upper limit belief, practice, and research and guidance and science is something that you want to work on, in my bio, I have a link tree and my book is in there. It's published on Amazon, so it'll take you to Amazon to buy it. Okay. So, if that is something you want to do, 400 questions in this book that to ask yourself to grow and do that inner work. All right. The second tool tonight is about the mechanism that makes up that upper limit problem work. Okay, and this comes from one of the most influential books in personal development history. The book that most people have never heard of, but has shaped virtually everything written about mindset, self image since like 1960. Okay. Dr. Maxwell Maltz was a plastic surgeon. He noticed something that deeply puzzled him. And many of his patients, after surgeries that objectively improved their appearance, right, reported no change in how they felt about themselves even after their procedure. You know, their whole face may have changed or some other part of their body changed with the plastic surgery, but their self image didn't change at all. Okay. And conversely, some patients whose surgeries were quite minor reported dramatic improvements in confidence. He concluded that what actually governs a person's experience of themselves and therefore their behavior, their choices, and their outcomes is not external reality. It's the self image, the internal picture a person holds in themselves as to who they are, okay, and what they're capable of and what they deserve. My dog just hit my desk with his toy, like, play with me, mom. In a minute, I will. Don't worry, I will. I will after this. We're almost done. He called this framework psycho cybernetics. Okay, cybernetics is the science of self-regulating system thermostats, guidance systems, autopilots. His insight was that the human mind functions exactly like a thermostat. It's always working to maintain consistency with your self image. When behavior exceeds the self image, the system corrects it downward, right? When the behavior falls below the self image, the system corrects it upward. Okay, the self image is the set point. Okay. This is the neuroscience of the upper limit problem. The ceiling is not in your circumstances, it's in your own personal self concept. Okay. And in your nervous system, your unconscious mind, your behavior selection system are all working together for 24 hours a day, right? To make your external life consistent with your internal picture of yourself. Okay. Which means that working harder within the same self image does not raise the ceiling. It creates more pressure against the ceiling until the system corrects it back down. Okay. And this is why women who are genuinely working very hard, doing everything right, following the advice, still hit that same ceiling. Okay. Because the effort of outpacing the self concept, you can't, it won't let you. And the self concept just always wins. It just always wins. Hello. Modern neuroscience has added significant evidence to Maltz's framework. Research in neuroplasticity confirms that the brain actively filters perception to match your existing beliefs, a process called confirmation bias at a neural level. You literally do not perceive opportunities, you don't perceive evidence, and you don't perceive possibilities that fall outside of your self concept. You don't even see them. You are blind to them, but they exist, right? So your brain just doesn't register them. It is filtering for consistency with what it already believes about you. Research from Dr. Tara Stewart at MIT, a neuroscientist and leadership coach, shows that brain prioritizes information that confirms an existing belief and filters out contradictory evidence. Your brain just is doing this for you in the background. Okay? This means that a woman with a self concept of I am someone who almost makes it, but not quite, will genuinely not see evidence that contradicts that story, even when it's directly in front of her, right? Hi, welcome. So, how do you change your self concept? So Maltz's answer is this, and subsequent neuroscience has largely confirmed this as well, is vivid mental rehearsal combined with emotionally congruent action. Okay. Mental rehearsal works, okay, because the brain does not fully distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. MRI studies of athletes doing mental rehearsal show activation in the same motor cortex regions in their brain, right? As actual physical performance. So when you are vividly imagining yourself as the person who has already crossed the ceiling with sensory detail, with emotional truth, you feel it, you have a real sense of it being real. You begin to build neural pathways for that self concept. You're literally rewiring your thermostat. You're changing the settings, okay? The practice is this, okay? Spend 5 minutes every day, just 5 minutes, in a vivid, sensory, emotionally charged mental image. This is a dream session, okay? Dream of yourself as the version of your life where the ceiling was raised. Not what you hope will happen, okay? What you feel true about yourself and who you are becoming, okay? The distinction does matter. Hope is future tense, okay? Mental rehearsal is present tense, right now. So you're not imagining the future. You're familiarizing your nervous system with a new normal. For me, the practice looks like this. I sit and I feel what it's like to be financially free by this January. Okay, to wake up without having to go into a call center for my job, right? To be in Minnesota near my sister and the rest of my family. To have this show be the work that I do rather than the thing I squeeze in after work, right? I feel the specificity of this life, my morning coffee, the quiet, the sense of my own time. So 5 minutes every day, just sit down and imagine you are that person right now. You're not thinking about a future person because guess what? Your brain doesn't recognize a future person as actually you. So you must be that person now. For 5 minutes a day, you're training your brain that you are that person right now. Okay, that's the work. Okay, so get good at it, get creative with it, really work on your imagination skills, get back to being a kid, right? Because really that's what it's all about, is what, who are you at the core before everything landed on top of you and tried to program you and mold you into what it wanted you to be. What were you before all of that? Okay, so so I'm just going to say something directly here, because the self concept work and the income work are connected in a way that doesn't really get talked about enough. The ceiling of your self concept often shows up most acutely around money and income, right? What we feel we are valued at is usually where our money is at. So if you don't feel so good about yourself, I bet you also don't have a lot of money in your bank account. That's kind of how it is. That's how it is for me too. I don't have any money. Like, it's the same kind of thing. Um, so that's why we gotta work on that inner work and feel that worth, right? So we go through, we do that inner work, and we get that concept, right, of who we are. And then whether you believe building income from something you love is actually available to someone like you or not, right? This is where you start thinking about stuff like that. So if you feel like you are worth your income, right, you can contact this or get this book. Link in my bio is AI Side Hustles for Women Over 40, for that income building stream where you can make money now with your own loves and passions that you've discovered through doing your inner work, right? So that book is about real income paths using AI tools, written specifically for women in a growth period who are building something new. So link in bio if you're interested in building another income source for yourself, right? Um, so the next tool, the third tool we're going to go through tonight, is the most immediately practical tool. Okay, something you can do starting tonight, right now. It comes from cognitive behavioral therapy, developed by Dr. Aaron Beck at the University of Pennsylvania and Dr. Albert Ellis at the Albert Ellis Institute. Um, Cognitive behavior therapy is also called CBT. So CBT is one of the most evidence-based psychological approaches that exists right now. Okay, it has decades of clinical trials data supporting all of its effectiveness across anxiety, depression, and behavior change. The specific technique is called cognitive restructuring, and it targets the thought pattern that maintains that upper limit problem, right? That upper limit ceiling. Here's how it works. Okay, so the upper limit problem is that self concept, right? That thermostat. Um, Both operate through automatic thoughts, thoughts that arise involuntarily, right? Usually so quickly you don't even notice it's happening. It just feels like facts. Um, this is too good to last. I don't deserve this. Who am I to think I can have all these things? These are not facts, right? They're cognitive distortions, patterns of thinking that are systematically inaccurate, in ways that maintain that ceiling, right? Hello, welcome in. So, CBT's insight is that you cannot think your way out of cognitive distortion by arguing with it directly. The distortion is too fast, too automatic, and too deeply wired in your brain. Okay. What you can do is insert a deliberate pause and run a thought through a structured examination. The tool is called a thought record. And the structure is simple. 5 questions applied to any upper limit thought when you notice it. Okay. So, question one, what is the thought? State it exactly, not a general feeling. The specific sentence, I'm not growing fast enough, or I don't know if this is going to work. This is probably temporary. Okay. Question two, um, what is the evidence for this thought? What actually supports this thought to be true? And be honest, right? Sometimes there might be real evidence for it to be true. So if there's, write it down. Okay. Question three, what is the evidence against this thought? What contradicts it? What are the facts that the thought is filtering out? Because remember, our brain filters out so much stuff. Okay, so this is where the neutral filtering Tara Stewart described gets interrupted. Okay, you are forcing the brain to register evidence it would normally screen out. So, next question, question 4. What is a more balanced thought? Not a positive affirmation, a genuinely more accurate statement that accounts for all the evidence. Not everything is going great, even if it isn't. But maybe you could say growth is happening and I can't always see it from the inside. Yeah, right? Bonjour. Question 5. What is one action I can take from this more balanced thought? Not a plan for everything, just one, right? One specific, small, present moment action that the balanced thought makes more possible, right? So let me walk you through one of my own thought records from this week. Okay. So the thought, I am not growing fast enough. Who am I to think that this is all going to work out by January? Okay. Evidence 4, the income numbers are still very, very low, like cents, right? The subscriber count is still short of monetization thresholds, right? January is 5 months away, closer to 4, right? Evidence against 99 new followers in 1 week, the best growth week the show has ever had, 4 consecutive top tier percentile lives, 3 published books, a community of women growing, showing up every day, a live where I cried and women stayed and commented, and that was exactly what I needed. More balanced thought. Okay. I am building something real, and the evidence of that is clearer than the ceiling would have me believe. January is possible, and I am in trajectory toward it. One action, post tonight's live and trust that the right women are going to find it. That's the thought record. 5 questions, takes about 2-3 minutes, and it is one of the most effective tools in behavioral psychology for interrupting, I can talk sometimes, for interrupting the automatic thought patterns that maintain that ceiling. Mhm. So, I want to close the teaching with something personal because I think the most useful thing I can offer is not just the framework or even an abstract concept, right? But what they look like when you're actually living inside of a growth period while also having a hard Tuesday and a difficult job and a January deadline that seems to feel impossible. Hi, Sophie. This week has been one of the harder weeks for me, and it's only Wednesday. Yesterday was genuinely hard, and what I noticed was the upper, oh, hi, welcome. What the upper limit problem would predict is that it came right after the best growth week my show has ever had. 99 new followers, right? 4 top percentile lives, the Eclipse live that I'll remember for a long time. And then a really, really hard day after that, right? That's the thermostat. That's the ceiling doing exactly what Hendricks describes, right? Things went well. The unconscious system got uncomfortable. It generated difficulty to bring me back to a familiar level. Understanding that, naming it as the thermostat response rather than evidence that things are working, right? Changed how I moved through the day yesterday. I didn't move through it perfectly, not without the emotion of it all, but with enough awareness to complete my day and come home and write out the script and show up at 5:30 anyway, right? And that's what these tools do. They don't remove the difficulty. They change your relationship to it. And over time, with the mental rehearsal, with the thought record, with the honest identification of which upper limit belief is running, the thermostat settings can be changed. Yes. Oh my goodness. So, what feels like too much can now be the new normal, right? You are all capable of so much more than you give yourselves credit for, and so am I, right? We need to work with ourselves, do that in our work. Come back every day and find more tools. I try to give as much free education as I possibly can on these lives, as I just want so much to be able to help you. So anyway, tonight you got those tools to raise it. What you do with them is up to you, right? So let's bring it home, all right? The upper limit problem. Gay Hendricks says you have an internal thermostat set to a level that feels safe for you and what's permitted, okay? When life expands beyond the thermostat safety level, you self-sabotage, right? Your unconscious mind corrects downward. The four beliefs behind that, the fundamental flaw, disloyalty, burden, scarcity. Name yours. Just name it. That's step one, right? Psycho-cybernetics, Maxwell Maltz, confirmed by modern neuroscience, says your self-concept is the set point, right? The entire system works to maintain. Okay, the ceiling is not in your circumstances, it's in your self image. 5 minutes of daily vivid imagining yourself as you're in the current situation that you want to be, in your being the person that you are becoming, imagining it as vividly as you can. 5 minutes a day to create those neural pathways so your brain finds it familiar and true and starts looking for those opportunities. Okay? Because remember, your brain is automatically filtering out what it's not built to perceive. So you don't see all the things that exist and are available to you because your brain's filtered it out for you, thinking it's helping you, thinking it's helping you. And it's not. Right? It's like, gosh, So spend 5 minutes being that person that you are becoming. Okay? Be that person for 5 minutes in full, vivid imagination as best you can do. And the more you do it, the more you practice at it, the better you're going to get at it. Right? Hello, welcome in. Okay? Then we've got CBT, cognitive restructuring. Aaron Beck gives you the 5-question thought record to interrupt automatic upper limit thoughts and beliefs, right? Before they direct your behavior. What's the thought? What's the evidence for? What's the evidence against? Balance the thought and then take action, right? Right? So those are the 3 tools. Start tonight, okay? And come back tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Pacific. We return with the astrology lens with Venus opposite Saturn, the sky's reality check on your worth and boundaries. This is a very powerful live coming up tomorrow, and I want you to be there. So make sure you are there. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell so you see when I come live. Make sure you're following, liking all the things so that you see me go live every day at 5:30. And before I let you go, I want to tell you about all 3 of my books because I genuinely believe that what we talk about tonight points directly to every single one of them. My journey to myself is a guided self discovery journal, 400 journal prompts for women who are ready to do the heavy lifting, honoring their inner work and asking themselves those deep questions while they develop into themselves who they really want to be, right? So, links in the bio for that. AI side hustles for women over 40. Your inner work's ongoing. You've come up with something that you think is inspiring or what you want to do. It's inspiring you, so it's going to inspire somebody else, right? So here's how you build it and make actual income from it. Also linked in bio. And then my latest is my 2027 Phoenix Renewal Almanac. I just published it on Kindle. This is your year ahead companion for using astrology as a daily lens for personal development. Every major transit, every new and full moon, every season in the next astrological year, decoded with the self-development application. So you know what the sky is asking of you and exactly what you need to do with it. Okay. So if you are interested in these lives and the kind of teachings we do, that's what the books are all about. So check the link tree, and all the books are sold on Amazon. If you have any interest in self-development, I would definitely get started with my journey to myself. That is what has personally helped me go at the beginnings of my growth period. I have been divorced twice. And the second divorce, there was stepchildren involved, um, and I went into an empty nest right away. It's like I got divorced, and then I'm in an empty house all of a sudden, and my whole life was different and empty. I was used to having holidays with 50 people in the house, a humongous family, and but I was being abused. So I had to leave and I had to start over. And I felt so incredibly empty and hollow inside. And I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted in life. I didn't know anything about who I really was because I didn't get a chance. I was just in survival mode the whole time. And so I had to start doing the deep inner work and asking myself the deep questions about who am I and what brings me the most joy in my life. And it's this. It's coming here and talking to you and sharing my experiences and how I got through what I had to go through. And I write these books because I know there's other women out there that are going through it and need to move through it and past it. There is light at the end of the tunnel. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Get out if you can, if you're in a really bad situation like that. Abuse is no joke. My ex-husband is what they call him passive aggressive narcissist. Also, sex offender. Okay, assaults. Horrible person. Horrible person. He wasn't just doing it to me. I was not alone in getting abused in that house, right? Um, so we go through it in our lives. We got out of that bad situation. I'm growing in my life. I'm finding what's acceptable to me and what's not acceptable to me. And as I know, it is not acceptable to me to be stuck in a city in the heat in Phoenix anymore. It's not acceptable to me to give all my time and energy away to a company or a government or anything that's not reciprocating, right? It's not the healthiest thing for my life. The healthiest thing for my life is to create and teach. That's what gives me the most pleasure and fulfillment in my life. So that's what I'm building towards a life where I can just teach and create. I can write books and publish them and build other tools. In fact, I'm almost done building my astrology tool for you all. It'll make your whole birth chart for you, your natal birth chart, showing you where all your houses are, all the different things. And so you'll get that part for free. And then there's more to it. But anyway, I love creating and building and doing these things. It makes me so satisfied. So this is my journey, and I'm sharing it with you. And I'm hoping that my journey is inspiring to you for you to get through your own personal journey too. Please reach out to me with questions if you are truly a woman going through a growth period, right? And check for my books in my bio to really get into it for yourself because you're so important and you need to show yourself love. And the best way you can show yourself love is pay attention to yourself. Don't judge yourself, witness yourself, show love. Just show love. Ask those personal questions. Grow. Doing the inner work is self-love because getting to know yourself is the most rewarding thing you're ever going to do in your whole life. You spend your whole life with you, so you better know who you are and like her, right? And I like you. In fact, I love you. Thank you so much for coming. I'll see you all tomorrow right here at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is your Phoenix Renewal Hour, and I'm Jill. See you next time. Bye.